Street. When the morning first appeared, the bridge was cold and quiet, holding stories I once feared. The steel was painted silver by a shy and gentle sun, and the blues I carried nightly felt like they were coming undone. The river moved like a honey in the early yellow glow, soft as whispered promises from someone long ago. I leaned upon the railing where my heart had come undone, and felt the weight inside me finally loosen one by one. First light over Kinzie Street, warmer than the pain I keep, pulling shadows from my feet where the long nights used to sleep. And though my heart is slow to beat, it finds a tenderness so sweet in the first light over Kinzie Street. A train rolled down the viaduct with a hum so low and kind, sounded like forgiveness threading gently through my mind. The skyline slowly brightened like a lantern lifting high, and I breathe the cool air deeply with a quiet, grateful sigh. The organ in my spirit hummed a sunrise made of gold, while the guitar in my chest played the truth I never told. I close my eyes a moment, let the morning fill my bones. Sometimes healing starts the second you stop walking home alone. Where the long nights used to sleep, and though my heart is slow to beat, it finds a tenderness so sweet in the first light over Kinzie Street. As the city stretched around me with a brand new day to greet, I whispered thanks for every trial that brought me to this sea. And I walked into the morning with a soul steady and complete in the first light over Kinzie Street. I stood beneath the Well Street Bridge where shadows linger long, where the river holds its secrets like the verses of a song. The morning still was forming in a silver muted hue, and the chill beneath the girders felt like echoes coming through. My breath came slow and steady as the water slid below, carrying the fragments of a past I couldn't show. I watched the sunlight creeping like a truth that wouldn't hide, painting brightness on the edges where my sorrow used to reside. In the long shadow of the Well Street Bridge, I found the heart I almost ditched, every bruise and every stitch softened by the morning's wish. And though regret still holds a ridge, it doesn't cut the way it did in the long shadow of the Well Street Bridge. Tugboat horn came drifting like a sigh across the wave, reminded me of moments I was too proud to be brave. I traced my hand along the rail where we once stood as two, and felt the gentle mercy of a dawn that finally grew. Hung behind me like a prayer for letting go, while guitar lines folded gently through the shadows, soft and slow. I breathed the quiet deeply, let forgiveness take its shape. Sometimes light begins exactly where the darkest nights escape. Found the heart I almost ditched, every bruise and every stitch softened by the morning's wish. And though regret still holds a ridge, it doesn't cut the way it did in the long shadow of the Well Street Bridge. As the sun climbed higher slowly on the city's waking ridge, I stepped out with a calmer soul, no longer on the edge, and left behind the heartbreak that had kept me on that ledge. In the long shadow of the Well Street Bridge. down Clinton Street before the wind could wait. The city held its silence like a breath it couldn't take. The sidewalks looked like pages from a story left untold, and the sunrise painted edges in a tender shade of gold. I stood beside a lamppost with a coffee in my hand, felt the morning pull me gently like it hoped I'd understand that every quiet moment brings a lesson warm and true. And sometimes stillness teaches things the restless never do. Before the wind wakes up on Clinton Street, I hear my heart begin to beat. Every sorrow in retreat, every shadow growing sweet. And though the past shakes at my feet, it's losing now, it can't compete. Before the wind wakes up on Clinton Street. A pigeon flapped its weary wings upon a rooftop rail, sounded like forgiveness, rustling soft behind a veil. And I let my worries settle like the dust the night had kept. Felt a gentler kind of healing in the air the dawn had swept. The organ hummed beside me like a sunrise made a sound, while the guitar in my chest found the strength to come unbound. I breathed the daybreak deeply, let its softness take the lead. Sometimes the calm before the wind is all the heart will ever need. Before the wind wakes up on Clinton Street, I hear my heart begin to beat. Every sorrow in retreat, every shadow growing sweet. And though the past shakes at my feet, it's losing now, it can't compete. Before the wind wakes up on Clinton Street. As the breeze began to whisper and the morning stretched its wings, I felt a new beginning rising softly in my veins. And I walked toward the sunlight with a peace so warm and sweet. Before the wind wakes up on Clinton Street. escape. Behind my building in the dawn, rusty steps beneath me, groaning like a tired familiar song. The alley smelled of yesterday and the rain from 2:30, and the blues that held me hostage felt like they were fading too. I sat down on the metal rail where I used to clear my head, where the cold wind kissed my worries and the night revealed its thread. But the morning held a softness that the darkness never gave, and I felt a small forgiveness rising quietly and brave. On the old fire escape behind my place, I finally learned to face my face. Every bruise, every misplaced grace echoed in that rusty space, and though regret still leaves a trace, it's lighter in the morning's embrace. On the old fire escape behind my place. A window down below me let a stray light spill outside. Look like all the lonely moments that I never let you hide. I breathe the alley's coolness as the shadows lost their hold, and I felt the truth inside me melt into the dawn's soft gold. The organ hummed behind me like the echo of a vow, while guitar strings in my memory whispered, "Son, you're stronger now." I close my eyes and listen as the city woke again. Sometimes you find your truest self in places you have been. Behind my place, I finally learned to face my face. Every bruise, every misplaced grace echoed in that rusty space, and though regret still leaves a trace, it's lighter in the morning's embrace. On the old fire escape behind my place, I climb back down the ladder with a steadier kind of stride, left behind the heaviness the shadows used to hide, and I stepped into the sunlight with a heart that felt renewed. From the old fire escape behind my place. Wander back behind Ogilvie as the dawn was breaking slow, where the quiet tracks ran endless through a silver morning glow. The fog was hanging gently like a blanket on the steel. Every step I took uncovered things I never meant to feel. I stood beside the switchyard where the engines used to roar, where you held my hand in silence when we couldn't take much more. But time can turn the loudest nights into a whisper soft and clear. And behind Ogilvie station I could finally hear my fear. On the quiet tracks behind Ogilvie I faced the man I used to be. Every hope, every memory laid out like old debris. And though the past kept calling me, this pull grew weaker gradually. On the quiet tracks behind Ogilvie. A freight car in the distance groaned a low and restless tone. Sounded like the echo of mistakes I once called home. But the morning wrapped around me with a tenderness so wide. I felt the weight I'd carried slowly soften at my side. The organ hummed its wisdom like a whistle in the breeze, while the guitar in my heartbeat bent to chords that gently ease. I breathed the track's cold silence, felt it steady my unrest. Sometimes you learn to move again where the world is at its best. Tracks behind Ogilvie I faced the man I used to be. Every hope, every memory laid out like old debris. I know the past kept calling me, on the quiet track behind Ogilvie. As the first train rolled toward daylight and the fog began to clear, I stepped away from everything I'd held too many years, and I walked into the morning with a truth that felt set free from the quiet tracks behind Ogilvie. Watch the morning rising from my window up above, over Randolph Street where life moves slow before the city wakes enough. The traffic lights were blinking like a tired lullaby, and the clouds were streaked with colors that could soothe a troubled mind. I leaned against the window frame, a coffee in my hand, thinking about the nights I folded under things I couldn't stand. But the sunrise through the buildings drew a line across my chest, like it whispered to my heartbeat, son, today you get to rest. From morning window above Randolph Street, I felt my pulse grow soft and sweet. Every aching small retreat, every breath a calmer beat. And though the nights aren't easy to defeat, the morning made my peace complete. From the morning window above Randolph Street. A cab crawled down the avenue with headlights fading slow. Looked just like the shadows of the pain I used to know. But the blues that once held tightly started slipping from my chest. In the warm Chicago sunrise, painting everything it blessed. The organ swelled behind me like forgiveness in the light, while the guitar in my memory softened every hurt I'd fight. I breathed the dawn so deeply that it settled in my bones. Sometimes watching from above can help you see you're not alone. From the morning window above Randolph Street, I felt my pulse grow though the nights aren't easy to defeat, the morning made my peace complete. From the morning window above Randolph Street. From the morning window above Randolph Street, I felt my pulse grow soft and sweet. Every ache and small retreat, every breath a calmer beat. And though the nights aren't easy to defeat, the morning made my peace complete. From the morning window above Randolph Street. I walked across the Canal Street Bridge while dawn was bending low. The river underneath me carried stories I let go. The steel was cold and quiet, like the nights I couldn't sleep. But the sunrise painted softness where my shadows used to creep. I rested by the railing with a tremble in my chest, thinking about the choices that had put my heart to test. But the silence on that bridge gave a truth I couldn't hide. Sometimes healing starts the moment you stop running from your pride. On a silent bridge at Canal Street, I felt my heart learn how to beat. Every burden incomplete, softened in the morning heat. And though regret still stung a bit, it faded where the river lit. On the silent bridge at Canal Street. Train rolled by and whispers from the tracks a block away sounded like forgiveness, humming low to start the day. I let the calm surround me in a glow of amber steel, and for once I felt the freedom of a sorrow learning heal. The organ in the sunlight under gentle golden tune, while guitar lines in my memory stretched out softly into June. I breathe the river deeply, let its rhythm settle in. Sometimes you learn who you are on the bridge where you've been. felt my heart learn how to beat, every burden incomplete, softened in the morning heat. And though regret still stung a bit, it faded where the river lit on the silent bridge at Canal Street. As I step back off the walkway with a steadier kind of stride, I felt the world grow lighter than the weight I used to hide. And I whispered to the skyline with a peace serene and sweet on the silent bridge at Canal Street. Stood on quiet Dearborn as the morning found its shape, with a paper cup of coffee that could hold my small escape. The steam was rising gently in the glow of breaking light, like a fragile kind of blessing, drifting upward out of night. I took a slow, deep breath as the breeze began to roll, and felt the warmth inside the cup sink easy in my soul. Funny how a simple moment on an early morning street can soften all the edges that kept cutting at your feet. Coffee steam rising on Dearborn, lifting worries I have worn, every bruise becoming warm in the gentleness of morn. And though my heart's still battle-torn, it's warmer now than once before. Coffee steam rising on Dearborn. Cyclists pass behind me with a whisper on the stone, like a fleeting thought reminding me I never walk alone. And the city blooming slowly in the pale Chicago light made the sorrow in my chest feel a little less like night. The organ in my memory hummed a truth boat, soft and strong, while guitar notes blended gently like a calm, familiar song. I let the sunrise paint my face in colors warm and new. Sometimes healing pours from moments no one else can see but you. Coffee steam rising on Dearborn, lifting worries I have worn. Every bruise becoming warm in the gentleness of morn. And though my heart's still battle-torn, it's warmer now than once before. Coffee steam rising on Dearborn. I walked along the sidewalk as the city stirred away, feeling lighter with each footstep that the sunrise chose to take. And I carry quiet gratitude the whole way down the street, for the coffee steam rising on Dearborn Street. The lanterns glowed on Hubbard Street, still fighting off the night, their amber halos drifting in the fading city light. I walk beneath their softness with a memory in my chest of a love that held me steady back when I was at my best. The air was cold and quiet, just the hum of distant cars, and the sky above was holding on to half-forgotten stars. I felt a slow reminder as the dawn crept up the walls. Some goodbyes break in silence, but they still can save us all. In the lantern glow on Hubbard Street, I felt a warmth beneath my feet, every sorrow in retreat, every heartbeat growing sweet. And though our story's incomplete, there's peace in where our paths don't meet. In the lantern glow on Hubbard Street. A taxi rolled behind me with its headlights washed in gold, like the echoes of our laughter from the nights we felt so bold. But the morning wrapped around me with a gentleness so wide, I could feel the years between us drifting softly to the side. The organ in my memory hummed a low, forgiving tone, while the guitar in my heartbeat played the truth I should have known. I breathed the lantern's radiance like a song that soothed my mind. Sometimes love remains a blessing, even when it's left behind. As the sky turned soft and silver and the lantern haze grew thin, I found a quiet closure rising gently from within. And I walked into the sunrise with a soul more sweet from the lantern glow on Hubbard Street. Sat upon a quiet bench beside the river's winding flow, where the morning light was trembling like it didn't want to show. The water moved so gently, like a memory running free. And I felt the echo of your voice still whispering through me. The breeze picked up a little, carrying scents of early day, and the warmth of old Chicago washed my tired thoughts away. I traced my fingers on the wood where lovers carved their names, thinking how our story ended, but I'm grateful just the same. On the quiet bench near the Chicago River, I felt my tired soul grow clearer. Every fear became much thinner, every heartbeat pulled me nearer. And though your memory makes me shiver, it hurts much less than it delivered. On the quiet bench near the Chicago River. A seagull danced above me with a cry both sharp and kind, sounded like the truth I carry in the corners of my mind. And the ripples on the water made a rhythm deep and slow, like the blues were telling secrets only river currents know. The organ hummed behind me with a soft forgiving tone, while the guitar inside my chest released the ache I'd known. I breathe the riverside in full, let morning calm my skin. Sometimes peace is found in silence when you stop, let it in. Chicago River, I felt my tires so grow clearer. Every fear became much thinner. Every heartbeat pulled me nearer. And though your memory makes me shiver, it hurts much less than it delivered on the quiet bench near the Chicago River. I stood and brushed the sunrise from the denim on my knee, feeling lighter than the shadows I had carried endlessly. And I stepped back from the river with a heart renewed and steady. From the quiet bench near the Chicago River, ready. Stood on early LaSalle Street when the sunrise split the stone. Light was pouring down the canyon like the city stepping home. The towers glowed like lanterns in a world that held its breath. And the calm between the buildings felt like peace I never met. I leaned against a pillar where the shadows used to fall, back when I was running circles, holding fear inside the walls. But the morning reached around me with a warmth so wide and sweet that I felt my burden loosening beneath my waking feet. With the sunrise leaning on LaSalle Street, I felt my tired heart skip a beat. Every doubt in slow retreat, every scar turning obsolete. And though the night still clung discreet, his grip was fading incomplete. With the sunrise leaning on LaSalle Street, a bus rolled past in silence on a near abandoned lane. Sounded like the hush of someone learning joy again. And the colors from the morning painted sparks across the glass, like reminders from the moments life had let me watch go past. The organ hummed behind me like a breath of something kind, while the guitar in my memory soothed the sorrows on my mind. I breathed the daybreak deeply as the first warmth kissed my face. Sometimes hope grows roots and rises in a quiet, sacred place. Turning obsolete, and though the night still clung discreet, its grip was fading incomplete. With the sunrise leaning on LaSalle Street, I stepped into the daylight with a steadier, brighter stride, letting go of all the weight that once kept pressing from inside. And I knew that I could start again with confidence complete. With the sunrise leaning on LaSalle Street. Watch the brown line rattle by with the windows glowing gold, the sunrise spilling gently like a story being told. The rails were humming softly with a rhythm pure and thin, and the air was filled with memories of places I'd been. I leaned against the meadow fence with coffee in my hand, thinking about the things I promised but could never understand. But the orange glow from the sunrise wrapped my chest in quiet light, like the world was saying softly, son, you made it through the night. In the orange glow behind the brown line train, I let go of a little pain, every sorrow I sustained, softened in that amber flame. Though the past still leaves a stain, it's fading now, no longer rain. In the orange glow behind the brown line train, a pigeon hop along the ties as if it knew my mind, and the whistle down the viaduct came mellow, low and kind. The train grew small and distant as it drifted toward the loop, and I felt a quiet rising warm beneath my stool. The organ swelled behind me like forgiveness on the breeze, while guitar strings in my heartbeat bent to chords of gentle ease. I breathed the glowing morning as it settled on my skin. Sometimes healing rides the railways where the quiet truths begin. Softened in that amber flame, and though the past still leaves a stain, it's fading now, no longer rain. In the orange glow behind the brown line train, I step back from the tracks with a calmer, clearer soul, feeling younger than the heartache that had once consumed me whole. And I walked into the daylight with a strength I can't contain. From the orange glow behind the brown line train. I stood beneath Roosevelt Road as the echoes circled wide. Concrete pillars rising round me like the truths I used to hide. The morning light was creeping through the gaps of steel and stone, and the quiet there reminded me of nights I walked alone. My footsteps tapped a rhythm that the shadows answered slow. Every echo felt like memories of things I didn't show. But the dawn above the overpass brought a warmth across the gray, and I felt a gentle courage growing stronger with the day. In the echoes under Roosevelt Road, I heard the things I should have told. Every secret I controlled softened as the night grew old. And though the past was harsh and cold, its grip on me began to fold. And the echo under Roosevelt Road, a cyclist glided past me with a whisper in the chill. Sounded like forgiveness rolling softly down the hill. against a pillar where the dawn began to gleam. And I saw my old reflection fading like a half-lost dream. The organ hung behind me like a hymn beneath a beam, while the guitar in my heartbeat walked me back through broken scenes. I breathed the morning slowly as the city stirred away. Sometimes echoes teach you gently where your fears begin to break. In the echoes on the Roosevelt Road, I heard the things I should have told. Every secret I controlled softened as the night grew old. And though the past was harsh and cold, its grip on me began to fold. In the echo under Roosevelt Road. Every secret I controlled softened as the night grew old. And though the past was harsh and cold, its grip on me began to fold. In the echo on the Roosevelt Road. As the sunrise stretched its colors through the overpass above, felt a quieter version of the man I once could love. And I walked into the daylight with a lighter, clearer low from the echoes on the Roosevelt Road. I stood by Monroe Harbor as the lake breeze found my face, carrying the smell of water in a cool, forgiving trace. The waves were tapping gently on the shoreline made of stone, sounded like a lullaby for hearts that walk alone. I watched the distant skyline through a veil of fading blue, every tower catching sunlight like it had a point of view. And the harbor wind kept a whisper across my tired skin, let go of all the heartache, boy, just breathe the morning in. With the harbor wind at Monroe Street, I felt my old regrets retreat. Every sorrow incomplete faded in that gentle sweet. And though the past can still compete, it loses in the lakefront heat with a harbor wind jogger passed behind me with a rhythm soft and slow, like a heartbeat rediscovering its balance in the flow. And the ripples on Lake Michigan spread golden through the air, painting warmth across the memories I thought would linger there. The organ swelled behind me like a hymn of quiet grace, while the guitar in my chest traced the lines of my mistakes. I breathed the harbor deeply as the morning kissed the pier. Sometimes healing rides the wind and whispers what you need to hear. Sorrow incomplete faded in that gentle sweet, and though the past can still compete, it loses in the lakefront heat with the harbor wind in. At Monroe Street, as the city woke behind me with a soft and tender glow, I felt a peace inside me rise, the kind I've longed to know. And I walked back from the harbor with a heart more sweet, thanks to the harbor wind at Monroe Street. Milwaukee Avenue was quiet in the soft and tender blue. Just a handful of headlights drifting slow like passing truth. The morning leaned on telephone lines with colors calm and thin, and I felt the weight I carried ease a little from within. I walked the broken sidewalk where we talked our hearts away, where the echoes of our promises still stir at break of day. In the soft blue quiet of Milwaukee Avenue, Every ache I once held true melted in that gentle hue. And though my past still comes in view, it doesn't cut the way it used to do. In the soft blue quiet of Milwaukee Avenue, the shopkeeper unlocked his door with a sleepy morning grin, and the smell of fresh made coffee drifted softly from within. The world was waking slowly in the pale Chicago light, and the blues inside my chest felt a little less like night. The organ hummed behind me like a morning made of grace, while the guitar in my memory traced the lines I can't erase. I breathe the sunrise deeply, let it fill my quiet mind. Sometimes peace is found in moments you thought you'd never find. In the soft blue quiet of Milwaukee Avenue, I found a heart that finally grew. Every ache I once held true melted in that gentle hue. And though my past still comes in view, it doesn't cut the way it used to do. In the soft blue quiet of Milwaukee Avenue, as the city stretched around me with a warmer, patient glow, I felt a softness blooming in the places pain will go. And I walked into the daybreak with a heart more calm, more true. In the soft blue quiet of Milwaukee Avenue. I walked through Fulton Market while the sky was barely red. The shadows on the brickwork felt like thoughts inside my head. The cobblestones were quiet, holding echoes of the past. And And every step I took reminded me how time moves far too fast. I paused beside a loading dock where we once shared a laugh. Back when love was still unsteady and the hurt came strong and fast. But the morning wrapped its color round the old red brick and stone, and I felt a new version of myself I'd never known. In the red brick shadows of Fulton Market, I found a truth I once discarded. Every fear that kept me guarded softened where the sun had started. And though my heart was long bombarded, it healed in places broken hearted. In the red brick shadows of Fulton Market. The truck rolled down the alley with a slow and rumbling sigh, sounding like the blues I'd carry learning finally to die. And the golden dawn reflected off a window pane nearby, like forgiveness staring gently from a city in the sky. The organ hummed behind me like a promise made in dawn, while guitar strings bending colors, warming every place I've gone. I breathe the morning deeply, let the shadows lose their hold. Sometimes a life returns in hues you lost when you were cold. Shadows of Fulton Market, I found a truth I once discarded. Every fear that kept me guarded softened where the sun had started. And though my heart was long bombarded, it healed in places broken hearted. In the red brick shadows of Fulton Market, as I stepped out to the main road with a softer kind of stride, I felt a peace inside me that I once believed had died. And I knew the man I'm becoming has a place where he can spark it. In the red brick shadow of Fulton Market. I walk behind the shed aquarium, where the lake breeze tumbles free, where the water meets the morning with a soft serenity. The steps were cool and quiet, holding echoes of the night. And the first light of Chicago turned the shoreline golden white. I sat down by the railing where we used to talk for hours, back when love was full of wonder and the city felt like ours. But the breeze rolled off the water with a whisper calm and clean, and I felt the weight I carried lift like something unforeseen. With a lake breeze behind, shed aquarium, I found the strength I'd been burying. Every worry I was carrying faded with the wave, soft varying. Though the past kept lingering, its spell began unthreading. With a lake breeze behind shed aquarium. Seagulls cut the morning with their lonely distant cries, sounded like the echoes of the tears I used to hide. But the sunlight on the water told a different kind of truth, that healing sometimes finds you in the silence of your youth. The organ swelled behind me like a hymn across a lake, while the guitar in my memory bent to chords that helped me break. I breathe the shoreline's rhythm like an answer gently given. Sometimes peace arrives at dawn and feels a whole lot like forgiveness. Shed Aquarium, as the city woke behind me with a warm and golden glow. I felt a quiet freedom that the lake breeze let me know, and I walked into the daylight with a heart more calm, more true. From the lake breeze behind shed Aquarium noon. The platform at Western Station was empty in the cold, just the hum of sleeping rail lines and a sunrise barely told. I paced along the yellow edge where you once held my hand, back when leaving felt like something neither one of us could stand. The metal beams above me rang with echoes soft and slow, like the voices of the mornings when we whispered truth below. But the stillness wrapped around me with a gentle healing tone, and I knew I'd grown far stronger than the man you once had known. On the empty platform at Western Station, I found my quiet restoration. Every fear, every hesitation lost its grip in revelation. And though I felt the old temptation to chase the past's imagination, I breathed free at Western Station. A rail car in the distance crooned a low, forgiving song, sounded like the truth I needed after holding pain so long. And the sunrise through the ironwork cast colors soft and white, painting courage in the corners where my doubts would often hide. The organ swelled inside me like a prayer without a name, while the guitar in my heartbeat soothed the sorrow I became. I breathed the morning deeply as the platform warmed its steel. Sometimes places built for leaving teach you how to finally heal. Found my quiet restoration. Every fear, every hesitation lost its grip in revelation. And though I felt the old temptation to chase the past imagination, I breathed free at Western Station. As a train approached in sunlight with a whistle calm and clear, I stepped back from all the shadows I had carried year to year, and I boarded with a softness I had never learned to feel. From the empty platform at Western Station real. I felt the first warm breeze, the spring on Harrison at dawn. It rolled across the pavement like a weight being withdrawn. The winter in my chest began to melt beneath its side, and the blues I'd worn for months felt like they finally knew goodbye. The sunlight kissed the storefronts in a soft and golden gleam, like the city whispered gently, time to wake from every dream. I paused beside a crosswalk where we used to take our time, and the warmth around my shoulders made forgiveness feel like mine. With the first warm breeze on Harrison Street, I felt the cold inside of the trees. Every bruise from winter's beat loosened in the morning heat, and though my heart still skipped a beat, it found a rhythm slow and sweet. With the first warm breeze on Harrison Street. A bus rolled by in silence, with its windows painted blue, looked just like the memories I once tried to push me through. But the breeze kept pulling softly at the doubts I used to keep, and I felt a fragile hope begin to rise from somewhere deep. The organ hummed behind me like the pulse of better days, while the guitar in my heartbeat bent a warm, forgiving way. I breathed the morning deeply as the spring air touched my skin. Sometimes one warm breeze is enough to let a brand new life begin. With the first warm breeze on Harrison Street, I felt the cold inside retreat. Every bruise from winter's beat loosened in the morning heat, and though my heart still skipped a beat, it found a rhythm slow and sweet. With the first warm breeze on Harrison Street. As I walked toward the skyline with a steady, grateful stride, I felt the warmth of something blooming somewhere deep inside. And I knew the man I'm becoming had a thaw no frost could be. With the first warm breeze on Harrison Street. last streetlight on Clark Street flickered tired in the dawn, like it didn't want to leave before the darkness fully gone. I watched it fight the sunlight with a glow, both weak and true. And it felt a lot like holding on to things I once knew you. The pavement still was cooling from the memories of the night, and the breeze along the storefronts brushed my jacket soft and light. I paused beneath the flicker where we once would slow our pace, and I let the quiet tell me things I never meant to face. With the last streetlight fading on Clark, I let go of what kept me dark. Every ache, every mark softened in that trembling spark. And though my past still leaves its mark, it's gentler now, not cold and stark. With the last streetlight fading on Clark. A bike courier drifted past with shadows on his wheels, sounded like the echoes of the truth that time reveals. And the city waking softly felt like comfort on my skin, like a whisper from the daylight saying, son, just breathe it in. The organ hum behind me like the dawn's forgiving tune, while the guitar in my memory pulled the night down far too soon. I breathed the moment deeply as the lamp began to die. Sometimes healing means allowing one last flicker to say goodbye. Softened in that trembling spark. And though my past still leaves its mark, it's gentler now, not cold and stark. With the last streetlight fading on Clark, as the lamp gave up its struggle and the sunrise claimed the street, I felt a quiet courage rising slowly from my feet, and I stepped into the morning with a calmer, clearer heart, with the last street light fading on Clark.
Golden mist on Jackson, wrap the morning in a veil. A soft and shining blanket drifting low along the rails. The city held its silence like a promise made to keep, and the warmth upon my shoulders felt like solace finally deep. I walked along the boulevard, the sunlight kissed the stone. Every step a little lighter than the ones I used to own. And the doubts that clung to midnight like a shadow on my chest began to slip like whispers, learning slowly how to rest. In the golden mist on Jackson Boulevard, I felt my heartbeat lose its guard. Every scar I kept so hard, softened in that amber shard. And though the past still hits me scarred, it fades beneath the morning star. In the golden mist on Jackson Boulevard. A bus rolled through the vapor in a quiet silver glow. Sounded like a memory I once didn't want to know. But the mist kept swirling gently, turning sorrow into steam. And I breathed the calm around me like a brand new waking dream. The organ hummed behind me like a sunrise made of gold, while the guitar in my memory traced the truths I never told. I let the morning settle where my bones had carried cold. Sometimes light must filter softly before a wounded heart can hold. Jackson Boulevard, I felt my heartbeat lose its guard. Every scar I kept so hard, softened in the amber shard. And though the past still hits me scarred, it fades beneath the morning star. In the golden mist on Jackson Boulevard. As the mist began to scatter and the city woke alive, I felt a quiet promise rising steady in my stride. And I walked toward the daylight with a heart no longer marred by the golden mist on Jackson Boulevard. I walked along North Avenue Beach when dawn was barely born. The lake was whispering secrets like a harbor keeping warm. And the wind came running softly with a cry both sharp and thin. Sounded like a truth I carried deep beneath my skin. The shoreline stretched in silence with a glow of muted gold, and the stories I'd been hiding felt too heavy to be told. So I let the breeze unravel them like threads beneath the sky. Sometimes pain becomes a lesson when you let the wind reply. With a soft cry of the wind at North Avenue Beach, I felt the healing out of reach, slowly finding ways to teach every corner of my grief. And though the past still leaves a breach, its weight grows lighter piece by piece. With a soft cry of the wind at North Avenue. Jogger passed behind me with a rhythm calm and sure. Sounded like the pulse of someone learning how to cure. And the waves along the shoreline made a quiet, faithful beat, like the blues were forming gently underneath my tired feet. The organ hummed a promise with a tone both warm and near, while the guitar in my memory eased the tension of my fear. I breathed the morning deeply as the sunlight found the sand. Sometimes healing starts the moment you stop trying to withstand.
I felt the healing out of reach, slowly finding ways to teach every corner of my grief. And though the past still leaves a breach, its weight grows lighter piece by piece, with the soft cry of the wind at North Avenue Beach. As the city woke behind me with a silver warming glow, I felt the quiet courage only lake winds seem to know. And I walked along the shoreline with a heart renewed by each soft cry of the wind at North Avenue Beach. I walked beside the silver tracks that bend toward Union Park, where the morning broke in glimmers through the shadows of the dark. The rails were shining softly like a memory I outgrew, and the quiet of the sunrise felt like something breaking through. I placed my hand on metal, still cold from yesterday. Felt the echo of the choices that once led my heart astray. But the tracks ahead were glowing with a softness I could feel, like a road I hadn't taken was becoming something real. On the silver tracks toward Union Park, I left behind the wounded part. Every bruise within my heart loosened in the dawning spark. And though the past still leaves its mark, its hold on me grew faint and stark. On the silver tracks toward Union Park. Train horn cried in distance with a low, forgiving tone. Sounded like the message that I'd never walked alone. And the wind along the rail line rolled a whisper through my mind, saying life moves on in rhythms only daylight helps you find. The organ hum behind me like a sunrise set to tune, while guitar strings bent like morning, lifting shadows into noon. I breathe the golden quiet where the tracks let sorrow part. Sometimes healing follows railways straight into a brand new heart. tracks toward Union Park. As the city warmed behind me and the skyline found its blue, I felt a gentle promise that the morning carried through. And I walked along the rail bed with a soul no longer dark, on the silver tracks toward Union Park. Toward Union Park.
Beneath the bridge on Madison, the shadows pooled in blue, holding all the quiet moments that I never walked me through. The river rolled beneath me with a sound both sharp and deep, like the echo of the secrets I'd never learned to keep. I leaned against the railing where the stone was cold and warm, thinking of the nights I stumbled through the places I was torn. But the morning climbed the pillars with a glow both soft and new, painting silver on the darkness like forgiveness breaking through. In the blue shadows under Madison Bridge, I felt my heart slip off the ridge. Every ache, every edge softened in the daylight's pledge. And though my past still holds a wedge, it loosens more with every bridge. In the blue shadows under Madison Bridge, a boat cut through the water with a low and mellow hum, sounded like the truth arriving from a place I'd never come. And the ripples kissed the columns with a gentle golden ring, like the river's own reminder that the dawn redeems everything. The organ swelled behind me like a hush of sacred air, while guitar notes tapped my memory with a tender kind of care. I breathed the river slowly, felt its calm along my skin. Sometimes healing comes in colors only shadows can begin.
felt my heart slip off the ridge. Every ache, every edge softening the daylight's pledge. And though my past still holds a wedge, it loosens more with every bridge. In the blue shadows under Madison Bridge, as the sun rose fair and steady and the shadows moved aside, I found the strength to honor every tear I'd ever tried. And I walked back toward the morning with a soul that felt abridged from the blue shadows under Madison Bridge. Streaks of gold and red, a quiet fire in the morning, lifting shadows from my head. The steel around me shimmered like a truth I'd come to find, and the echoes of my yesterdays fell gentle from my mind. I walked along the the nights were cold and heavy, where my soul forgot to sing. But the dawn kept pushing forward like a promise made in light, and I felt the last of heartache fade beneath the edges bright. With the sunrise breaking through the South Loop rails, left behind my oldest tale. Every fear that tipped the scales melted where the morning hails. And though my memory still exhales a sorrow through familiar trails, the sunrise broke the South Loop rails. A freight horn sang in distance with a low and steady grace, sounded like the final blessing drifting through an open space. And the haze above the buildings glowed with amber-colored truth, like the city whispered softly, here's a man you grew into. The organ rose behind me like a quiet kiss by dawn, while the guitar in my heartbeat played the strength to carry on. I breathed the golden quiet as it settled in my chest. Sometimes healing ends exactly where you learn to love the rest. Behind my oldest tales, every fear that tipped the scales melted where the morning hails. And though my memory still exhales its sorrow through familiar trails, the sunrise broke the South Loop rails. As the light climbed high, warmer, painting city sky and stone, I felt a peace I chased for years finally call my heart its home. And I stepped into the daylight with a soul the dusk unveils. By the sunrise breaking through the South Loop rail.